Hi everyone, and welcome to Sweet Stitches Quilt Shop. I'm Joan, and today is demo day here in the shop. For April, our theme is going to be Room to Bloom, because right now it's springtime and the flowers are starting to bloom, so we thought we'd go with a flower theme this month. So I'm going to start with a couple of flower things that I had in the last video when we did the Beautifully Blended in March, because I want to show a couple things that I kind of have either progressed on or have finished. So let me start with the collage quilt that we did last month. And so this is the collage quilt. You might have remembered this from last month. This is by the collage quilter. It's Emily Taylor design, and this was a lot of fun to do. It's more like painting with fabric than it is quilting, but I'm getting to the quilting part now. So my plan is to use some of these really pretty embroidery threads from our Iris thread collection here at the shop. These are 40 weight threads, and they have a beautiful sheen to them, and because they are a poly cotton blend, they have a lot of strength to them, so they can take, you know, a lot of stretching and pulling more than a regular cotton thread. You know, cotton thread might break more easily. Plus they're going to add a lot of shimmer and shine to my collage piece, so I'm excited to use those in the collage quilt that I'm going to finish up here soon. So stay tuned for the rest of that one. We were talking about collage, and I also wanted to point out that there's a couple of different patterns here in the shop too, by Laura Heine, who is also a collage artist and you know, pattern designer, and she has a lot of really pretty patterns out there, and her collage tends to be a lot of cutting out of floral fabrics and creating designs with the floral fabrics. So of course it fits with the Room to Bloom theme, so I thought I'd share and kind of remind you about these different patterns too. She has a beautiful one called Flower Fly. And of course, two of our favorites here at the shop are the mini pin cushion and the featherweight machine. Another project from last month from our Beautifully Blended, I talked about blending colors together, and we also talked about blending different types of fabrics. And I was talking about how I love the look of grunge and batik fabrics together because they have kind of the same tone to them, and so they really work well together. And I told you I was going to make a butterfly pillow by Adidas Attar. It's from her book Pillow Talk. And I also want to make the rose one that she has in here too to go along with it. But I made the butterfly quilt or pillow up, and I wanted to share that with you. So here's the pillow. This is a grunge background. The color is called Dynasty. It's one of the prettiest turquoise colors that we have in the line. And the butterfly, as you can see, is made up of flowers, so it kind of fits with the theme for this month too. But the whole butterfly is made up of grunge and batik fabrics, and you can see how pretty they are together in this pillow. The quilt behind me today is by Violet Craft. She has designed this quilt. This is called the Mandala quilt. or Mandala quilt, however you pronounce it. And this is my version of it. And I chose to go with, again, batiks and grunge fabrics to show how well they blend together. This is one of my favorite quilts here in the shop. I did the whole quilt by machine. Everything, the applique is by machine, and the quilting is by machine. So if you're ever in the shop, take a look at it. I did it on my regular domestic machine at home. So, and it showcases free motion quilting, which is a class I teach here at the shop. So come in and take a look at this one. And if you want to make your own in whatever color way you like, the pattern is called the Mandala quilt, and it's by Violet Craft. So some of the quilts that I'm going to show you today are actually classes that are on the calendar, and they have to do with flowers too. So going along with the theme this month, we have the Daisy Table Runner. This is a pattern that I kind of put together myself, and it uses the Creative Grids 15-degree wedge ruler. It's one of my favorite ones to use. I like working with the triangle shapes, but it creates these beautiful little wedge flowers. And this class is for intermediate, so you want to have a little quilting under your belt before you do this one. But it is a fun one to do, and once you learn how to make this size, you can make flowers in all different sizes, because the ruler goes up to 24 inches. So you can make very large flowers with it. And you can use your leftovers to make the backing. So it's a lot of fun, and this is a class on the calendar this month, and feel free to check out our calendar to see the dates for those. Another class on the calendar this month is one of Linda's classes. Linda's back, and she's here in the shop on Mondays and for class days. Her class is called the Cathedral Window Pillow, and so this whole pillow top was made using the machine. So there's no hand stitching like a traditional cathedral window quilt, and we've made it in an easy small size here in this pillow size, instead of doing a whole entire quilt, so that you can get a feel for it, see whether you like the technique, and whether you want to make it into a much larger quilt, which she has done. It's a beautiful quilt, and hopefully she'll have it in the class to share with all of you that are taking the class. And so this one's on the calendar too this month. You can check it out. Check out our calendar on our website. Got to get a little bit of AccuQuilt in, of course, and the best AccuQuilt die that I like to go along with the Room to Bloom theme is the Fantasy Flower. And this is one that we've had in the shop for a while. Some of you might have it, but I thought maybe I'd give you a reminder to get it back out and maybe make a few blooms for the spring and summer, for your spring and summer table. And so we have a couple of different examples. Darla has made up in two colorways. We have more of a spring-summer look. And on this one you can notice there's like these little whirligigs that go in the flower. Those are optional, whether or not you want to add those in. But a real pretty one for summertime here. And then the other one would look great in the fall. It's made with the terrain fabric line. It has kind of like a wood grain look to it. Real pretty. In this one we left out the little whirligigs. It's a much simpler pattern and really shows off the fabrics nicely. So this is called Fantasy Flower, and this is one of the AccuQuilt quilt dies, and it will fit in every size cutter that we have. Okay, on to the new stuff. So I picked out a few new fabrics to show you with florals on them, and then I also have a couple of different patterns with some cute florals on them too. The first one I'm going to show you is this bag, and the flowers on the bag are, and actually the whole fabric line here is from the Cider line by Moda Fabrics. It's by Basic Gray. They are the creators of grunge fabric, if that name sounds familiar to you. It's a real pretty line. It's kind of got a little bit of a retro feel to it, and the colors are just soft and soothing. So I made this tote bag out of the Quilt As You Go tote bag patterns. And so the kit has the batting that is pre-marked, so you just pretty much cut your strips and sew and press and sew and press, and then you sew the bag together. It's very, very easy. This is a beginner class. I actually have it on the calendar too. It's the Quilt As You Go Sophie or Alexandria tote bag. And a lot of fun, real easy to do, and you got a great bag when you're done, which could be for you or for a gift for somebody. It also has nice long handles on it for carrying it comfortably on your shoulder. The next project isn't quite new, but I'm going to share it again because it's got some of my favorite floral fabric that we've had here in the shop. This is a Cafe Facet fabric line. I believe it's called Desert Flowers. And I made it into these flipping out bags. And you'll get the name once I show you how it opens. The bags actually stand up on their own. You fold back the top of them, and they'll stand up on their own and hold all your different tools inside them. Here I have some, some markers in there. This one is great size for holding maybe your rotary cutter when you're going to class, or any of your sewing notions, or maybe even knitting needles and that type of thing. So this is called the Flipping Out bag, and it was a lot of fun to make. And they zip right up just like this, and all your stuff is contained in the bag. New table runner for spring. We have Tis Spring. It's a cute little pattern, one of those little small ones. This is by Doghouse Designs. This might look a little familiar to you. There's a Christmas one that's just like this, where instead of tulips, there are Christmas trees that we have here in the shop. So you can check that one out too. This one's called Tis Spring, and this would look great on your Easter table, and it's so easy to make. You could probably get it done in the next couple of days to decorate your table with. The fabric line that I used for this one is the confetti dots by V & Company for Moda Fabrics. It's a real pretty line. It has a little bit of shimmer to it with the little gold dots, and it's also ombre fabric. So as you can see by the binding, where some areas are real dark and some areas are real light, it's just a real pretty line. The next quilt that I have to share with you is called Jubilee, and it's also by Doghouse Designs. The next quilt I have for you is called Jubilee. It's a pretty little table runner. It's 30 by 30, and it has a floral motif in the center, and then around it, these triangles that you see are actually prairie points. And if you remember prairie points from back in the probably late 80s, early 90s, they were real popular in quilts, but they're coming back, just like everything does. And so the prairie points are actually not sewn down, and each one of the prairie points will have a little button on the corner of each one of them to hold it in place, and it's just like a nice little decoration to add to the wall hanging. And so here is the wall hanging. Super cute. We just picked bright, fun colors. You might see that my quilt top, compared to the picture on the pattern, is reversed in the middle. And that's because when you read the pictures, they don't always tell you that you have to reverse the pattern. So it's always good to read the written instructions too. Just a little tip for all of you out there. So it doesn't matter, it still turned out great, and it's a pretty little quilt top. Can't wait to get this one quilted. The next quilt wall hanging is called Garden Party, and I made just the wall hanging of this one. This is actually the quilt here on the front of the pattern, and on the back side they have the little wall hanging that I'm going to show you here. And you can do either one. The quilt is a 41 by 41 inch quilt. So what you can do is you can just keep adding to the quilt to make it bigger if you want to. It's really cute. It's got a real fresh, modern look to it. It's kind of wacky, kind of wonky, as you can see by the flower pots that are in the quilt. They're kind of off askew, and so are some of the leaves and the flowers. Just a fun, bright, cheerful wall hanging. Or it could be a center of a quilt. You could build blocks around it and have yourself a full-size quilt. And this is called Garden Party. Pattern I have is called Flower Power. And this is a real modern kind of stylistic flower quilt that uses lots of fun, bright colors in it. In this quilt they use solids, and you know, I don't have a ton of solids here in the shop. I'm more of a tone-on-tone kind of girl. So I chose a bunch of tone-on-tone fabrics, and you can see here's my stack of pretty fabrics that I'm going to be using to make the entire quilt. Today I only have one block to show you, just to show you how big the block is itself. And so here's one of the blocks, and it's just a great way to play around with color, and great way to practice your machine quilting skills too. So these are all fused on. The corners that you see here, I used my folded corner clipper ruler again. You know, I love that ruler. It's a really great one for doing anything where you're going to, you know, cut the corners off and put on another fabric. So this is one to give a try to. This one goes together really fast. You'll just have a little bit of machine applique to do on it. And in the pattern, you can cut your circles out with different templates that they have in there. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your fabric and you're going to fold it into 4, and you're going to put the template in the corner like this, and then cut, and then you'll have your circle shape. Or even easier, you can use a circle Savvy Ruler by Creative Grids. It's a tongue twister. And so you're going to do the same technique here where you're going to fold a square into 4, and then you're going to place it up into the corner here, and then you're going to choose your size circle that you want to make, and you just stick your rotary cutter in there and you cut them. Simple as that. So that's the Circle Savvy Ruler. Great to use with the Flower Power quilt pattern. And so next we have a cute little baby quilt pattern called Floret, and it's by It's So Emma. It's one of the little quilt patterns, and we use the fabric line that we have in the shop here called Flowers for Freya. It's a fabric line by Moda. It's these real pretty kind of citron and aqua and gray colorway, and we thought that will make a really pretty little baby quilt. And so here is the quilt. It's called Floret. Real easy to make blocks. I used the folded corner clipper ruler again on this one because these are folded corner blocks here, and also it also does the center block, which is this one right here, which is a square and a square. It also does the signature blocks, which are the squares right here that are kind of the yellow color. And so the folded corner clipper ruler is awesome for lots of different quilt projects. I've been using it like crazy for the past 3 months. So this is Floret, and it's in the fabric line called Flowers for Freya. It's here in the shop. There's a few more pieces that go along with the 4 that I have here. Great little quilt, and can't wait to get this one quilted up too. A new fabric line that we got in from Northcott is called Ophelia, and it has these beautiful white peonies on it. Just a real classy, kind of elegant look to it, and it has a lot of beautiful other pieces that go with it that would look great in a lot of these new farmhouses that are done in all white, you know, white cabinets, white walls with a nice dark wood floor. Very pretty. It would look really nice with that. There's a pattern that goes along with it if you're interested in making it. It's called Ophelia Tiles. Nice simple pieced pattern, but it really shows off the flowers and all the fabrics that go along with it nicely. And that's another quilt that would be great because you need to cut some flowers out and do a little bit of collage work on it. So these big white flowers would look great on this. This is Blooms of Inspiration, and it's by McKenna Ryan. And what it is it's the words home, love, and hope, and the O's are a wreath of flowers, and then there are birds that are in the little wreaths of flowers, but great for you know, hanging in the hallways or the entries of your house, or a great little bridal gift too. So something to think about. They're full-size patterns for all the letters and for the flowers too. And they come individually. So you either get the home, you get the love, or you get the hope. Your choice. So you'll have to check that one out. It's called Blooms of Inspiration. And so that's all I have for you today. I hope today you make some room to bloom and create some floral quilts of your own. Of course, we have all the patterns in the shop here that I showed you today, And we also have classes that you can take too. So collage, the tote bag, the cathedral windows pillow. You'll have to check out the class calendar and see what looks good to you. Right now we are still doing 3 to 4 people in a class, and we are still wearing masks here in the shop, and we will continue to do so for a while, even after the mandate changes on, I believe, April 6th. We'll still be wearing masks here to help protect you and to help protect us. So we ask that when you come in that you do wear a mask. We all will need to take care of each other. So the other thing is if you haven't read your newsletter from us yet, which came out yesterday, we have some big news here at the shop. We are making room to bloom in our new shop, which will be right next door. We are moving over to the old Summers Heating and Cooling building in probably September. We're real excited about it. There's going to be lots more room for us to spread out, to bring you new products. There will be a separate classroom area, so and then more retail space too. So we're real excited about that, and we're going to be sharing our progress with you as we go along. But we just want to thank you all for supporting us and helping us grow. Thank you for your friendship over the years. I want to wish everybody a good day today, and we'll see you next month in May for Demo Day here at Sweet Stitches. Have a great day.